How can businesses break through barriers to unleash their true revenue potential? In such a competitive and changing marketplace, it's a challenge that confronts virtually every company. Is your company adapting to the changing world of sales? Are you using the right tools and techniques to ensure the growth potential of your company? Are you identifying the right targets for sales and effectively building long-term relationships with your clients? Are you using the right strategy to connect with buyers? Shaun Alger of VoloHaus helps companies find solutions to accelerate growth. Here's Shaun.
Globally, the world has changed, right? Globally. So this isn't something, I have right now a German client and an Australian client, and they are fighting the same battle, okay? So it's not just you, so that makes you feel better. How people buy, how they access information, what they know, what the competition shares, all of this stuff has changed how your buyers buy. Now, I can help you solve it, but it's a big shift. So we're going to talk about that. Time is your most valuable asset. So I worked, like I said, for Sheridan. At the time, that was owned by ITT, which was the largest company in the world, bigger than GE or anybody. Every single manager, every one of us got put through Franklin Covey time and task management. Actually, Covey wasn't even part of that then. So I have been a certified Franklin Covey trainer since '92. So there's urgent, not urgent, important, not important, right? Important is would be to the left of the one, and not important to the left of the three. So what Covey says is live above the quadrant, the horizon, if you will, so live in 1 and 2. Obviously, you guys live in a reactive world, customers, that kind of stuff, hair on fire, so you're going to have to do some quadrant 1 stuff, but as much as you can get in quadrant 2, which is important but not urgent, and plan and prepare. You know, they always used to say, sharpen the saw 10 times, cut once, right? I think that was Lincoln that said that. If you can live above that quadrant, do it. So my ex-CPA one time, I sold my business, we bought a new home, we had kids, all these kind of things happened this one year. And I go, bro, like, why didn't you call me? Like, why didn't you figure this out? And we should have made some moves, so I'm paying more in tax. And he said that. I'm like a doctor. Call me when you're sick. I'm like, And you can't be like that. You can't be like that, right? I mean, you could be like that for a part of your business that you make, self-serve, maybe, which you have some competitors that do that. There's like a DIY platform. Yeah, go on, fill that out, and boom. But if you want to make money and you want to serve higher yielding clients, larger groups, or higher yielding, whatever you want to do, you got to be calling them. Does that make sense? I had two companies, two customers that were selling the exact same mutual fund, and I just watched how they sold it different. One sold it better, right? And it was the same thing. Get out there, hang a shingle, be an expert, specialize, build a relationship, know them, know their business, right? Differentiate. That is the word. And when I say differentiate, well, I'm a big fan of this thing. We'll talk about the Net Promoter Survey, or any way to survey your customers and know who your ideal customer is. If you can know what they say, the messaging they bite on, fishing analogy, right? If I know I'm fishing for salmon versus trout, I know the bait, I know the hook, I know the boat, I know the pond. Now, how do I get that to line up with the buyer, right? So the messaging, the buyer line up, and I should increase my sales. I will tell you, out of 100 projects, we've never failed. What I like to emphasize is story selling. Clients bite on that, right? So you need to create your stories. So if you have your niche, prenatals, whatever you want to do, I'm just making stuff up, and you sell with a story. Like, hey, we helped a customer just like you. Here's what they experienced. It was a horrible process, and here's what we did. Now I engage with that, right? I buy that. I don't buy features and benefits. No one does anymore. The other thing is croc brain and emotion. People really buy off the reptile brain, and it's proven. There's lots of research, there's some great books. I've tried it. I think it's a phenomenal way to sell because they're reacting to weird stuff that you wouldn't think about. Smell. They look at your shoes first, which is hilarious, right? So you come into a room, 5 seconds, they look at your shoes, they look for similarity, they look for smell. That's all done in like 15 seconds. And they figure out, do they like you or not? And if they don't, they're not going to buy from you. They won't. And then building relationships. You guys know that. You know how to do it. I've seen it. Everybody in this room is very likable, hyper intelligent, very knowledgeable. You bring a lot to the table, right? Now, how do you build a relationship, and then how do you monetize that? So that's why I like referrals. NPS does that. So, and I don't need to do it for you. I'm not pitching. You can do it yourself. It is better, I think, if you do it on the NPS platform, Net Promoter Score. You've all heard the question, would you refer us to a friend or relative? But you build some questions around that, and you get good data, and you get tons of referrals. I did this for a wealth management client a couple of months ago, and they got 600 inquiries for new business. It was a lot. And then also know that your top customers are not your top COIs, center of influence or whatever. So you know how it is. Like, you could smell it in this room. You guys know. Who are the people that are the COIs, right? And those are the people that normally, there's a book I read, I love it, called Go Giving. It's normally people that are social, they like to do things for other people, they're smart, they're connectors or networkers. Those are COIs. You sell to a COI and satisfy a COI, you just sold to like 10 or 15 people. I can tell you do that, or you are that probably. So look for these things: budget, authority, need, timing, fit. And I hate maybe. If a client tells you maybe, tell them bye-bye. I want to hear no or yes, right? You don't have time. If they're like, oh, I'm going to look at options, and I like 3 quotes, and, you know, no, I'm an expert. I'm going to give you 1 quote. It's going to be the best one. If you like it, you don't. Suck it. Right? Move on, okay? We already talked about this. We talked about filling the leads at the top, knowing how they research and buy you. I think that's one takeaway for sure, is fix that. We talked about qualifying. We talked about lead scoring. We talked about benchmarking your success metrics. Does anybody know their conversion rates from the person at the time that you talk to a person to the time that they close? If there's 100 in the top, how many do you close? Anybody know? Does anybody have a guess in their business? You don't know that? 2 or 3%? Maybe? Okay. So you should know that, right? Good. It's perfect. You should know that. Know the cost of that. You are in a red ocean environment, okay? You have a lot of competition. There's a lot of froth. There's a lot of fish in the water. There's blood in the water. That's why they call it red ocean. If you can pivot and get over into the blue ocean where it's clean and there's not as much competition, do it. So innovate out of red. Innovate out of red ocean. Stop cold calling. We talked about that. I suggest you survey your clients not only to know who they are, what the messaging is that they care about, and get referrals. You will. I guarantee you this whole thing will pay for it itself by you getting a couple of referrals out of surveying your clients, for sure.
Shaun Alger works with companies of all sizes in all categories that have one common goal. They need to develop a system that works so they can unleash their true revenue potential. He has successfully guided more than 100 companies through proven, repeatable procedures that ensure companies have the right plan, people, process, and platform in place for success. VoloHaus combines the right team and technology to ensure clients have a winning strategy. So take a minute to connect with Shaun and discuss your challenges by calling him directly on his mobile phone. Call 760-815-4464. That's 760-815-4464.